Hello everyone. It's James again. And today I want to talk about something very important. Actually, two cases that are quite sad. But illustrates how the narcissist feels about you and others that come across their path. Especially if you were once a child that grew up in such a home. You are so blessed to have made it out alive, because the narcissist's goal is to often make it so you don't ever become an adult. And even then, the many narcissists that you will encounter will try to pick up where your narcissist's parent left off. The first case is of the so-called father Christopher Greger, who is currently on trial for forcing his son Corey Micholo to run as fast as he could on super high settings on a treadmill, as he falls off several dozens of times, only to force him back on the treadmill again and again and again, while also biting his son on the head over and over again. All while his son had life-threatening pneumonia. You see, Christopher has a history of being a hothead during his entire life. Not just one time, but it seems over and over and over again. Against other people and in other situations. This is not a good guy at all. Not in the least. And somewhere in the middle of all of this, he meets and ends up having a short relationship with Brianna Micholo. It apparently was so short of a relationship, he didn't even know he had a son, until Brianna contacted Christopher for child support. The problem was, it seems that Brianna had a substance abuse issue in regards to using meth. And here's the thing. If you live in the US, you will know. It's extremely difficult for the woman to lose custody of the child, even if the mother is using substances. Almost as a default rule. They oftentimes try to keep the mother with the child in one way or another. However, in this case the courts gave full custody to the father Christopher. Likely he was able to paint a good picture of himself and a bad picture of the mother Brianna, as he was working a decent job. And likely Brianna was living a less than productive lifestyle. The problem was, or possibly seemed, that Christopher seemed to have the personality of a bully. Though playing football in high school or working out isn't a way to point the finger at someone and say, "See, they are aggressive." However, there are some that will use the sporting activities to become bullies. If any of you played sports, you might remember someone on your team or opposing teams, where they seemed very sadistic. They didn't mind cheating or hitting someone low, or taking someone's legs out from under them, sending them to the hospital and altering their life forever. All because it's them or me mentality. Well, though I don't think there is any information out there as of yet from anyone that played sports with him, I wouldn't be shocked if he was like this. Also, I will leave a link for this news story in the description box below. But keep in mind, this is an ongoing trial. So there are tons of links out there that might paint a more complete picture. With that said, in the link, one of the news reporters asked if possibly he was taking performance enhancers, if you know what I mean, based on his look, and as a result of his anger and rage. And though this can't be discounted, based on his look, he doesn't appear just on looks alone to be taking any enhancers. Because I very regularly, as you know, say that if you can, go to the gym and get some good workouts in. And you never know what you can achieve. And I say that to say, though it's possible that he is taking something, his body isn't so big where there is no way you can be his size without it. There are a great many people that can work out and look more muscular than he looks without any enhancers. However, the one thing that would lead me to think this is still possible is not his look. It's his I don't care attitude, with a lot of risk-taking and destructive behavior he's had in most of his life. Not always, but oftentimes those are the individuals that will dabble with such substances, simply because they oftentimes don't care, nor do they think of long-term consequences for a great many things in their lives, let alone their own health. Meaning, if I can get an edge on the football field and hit someone a bit harder type of thinking, to them it's worth the risk. Or if they can in their mind always be better than the next guy type of thinking, Again, to them, it's worth the risk. But as far as his anger is concerned, I think he's just an awful person. And I wouldn't be shocked if later on he was diagnosed with some sort of evil toxic personality type such as antisocial personality disorder. But keep in mind that is just a guess on my part. So why did Christopher put his son on a treadmill over and over and over again? After one terribly violent fall after the next? Because the narcissist parents hates their child and loves inflicting pain on them. Look. I've had women on this channel in the comments section, and on other channels in their videos, talk about how their narcissist mother would burn their head with a curling iron on purpose while so-called helping them do their hair. These people deep down despise their children. And this analogy I just thought of recently I think fits these individuals to a T. And it's they treat you like a video game reset button. You know when you've made a mess of whatever old style video game you are playing. And you don't want to ride out that mess until the end. So you just reset. So you can start the beginning over and over again. Simply because you want a perfect game. With a perfect score. And you will keep on hitting reset over and over again. Until you get that perfect score. Which will likely never happen. Or until you give up and move on. Well, that's what I think Christopher was thinking about when he would look at Corey. A video game he could erase or reset and start all over again. Because his child looks a lot like the mother Brianna. And maybe his child wasn't as athletic as he hoped. And Christopher seems like the type of father that wanted to have a son that would just rip down the football field, mowing everyone down on the football field right out of the womb. And it was said that Christopher believed that his son was overweight. Now from the video footage and from pictures, the child seemed to be just fine in weight. But even if there was a legitimate concern regarding weight issues, Christopher the father's concerns should have been on his son's pneumonia first. Making sure he had all of the rest he needed along with his proper medicine. And once healthy, he could have just took his son outside and played a regular paced game of catch. Tossing the football back and forth. Having fun. And enjoying the day. Perhaps he could have taken the lead and learned how to make some healthy meals and snacks for him and his son while his son was in his care. But it appears, at least from what I can see, Christopher was disappointed in his son just being his son. Again, no matter if you are with a narcissist in a relationship or if they are a parent, either you are all good or all bad. And the all good lasts about a heartbeat. And just like clockwork, they will find a flaw, even in the golden child of the house. And they will see you as a video game they can just hit the reset button on, do away with and start all over again. And I think this so-called father looking at his son that in his mind was as somehow not as good as he was or is. Which is a terrible thought in itself. And looking like a carbon copy of his mother. He grew more angry with the child and wanted to punish the child for just being there. Again, if the child was sick with pneumonia, why is he at a gym? Even if it's to watch his father work out with weights. He could have easily stayed at home. And did some push-ups and other home exercises while his child slept or rested. Again, the focus should have been on the child. But instead it was on himself. Even when his child was sick. And his anger grew, likely because his child just couldn't shake it off, as the saying goes, and just get better. Narcissists will blame you even when you are sick and on death's door. Just why can't you just shake it off? But I think something more sinister is happening here. I think there are some parents and or spouses that will take this as a chance to get you to run yourself into the ground and so-called pass of what they hope to be natural causes. I think it's also possible that knowing that pneumonia can greatly affect the lungs and heart. And this is common knowledge. I believe it's possible if he made his son run over and over and over again, that maybe he could induce his son's passing and have it look like the pneumonia being the cause. The problem is his anger and his impulsiveness got into the way. Such as not understanding he was on camera the entire time. And that there would be bruises all over his son's body due to the falls and marks on the head from losing it and biting his son. The other sad part of this story is, though Brianna complained about Christopher's abusive behavior towards their son, and it being ignored, likely due to her substance abuse problem, she admitted to after all of this, before her son became sick because of these events, she still willingly dropped her son off with Christopher. Then later contacted her boyfriend asking to get her some meth. Simply put, she dropped her sick son off to the person that she knew was abusing him. All because she wanted to get high. Look. This child didn't stand a chance. And someone else said that this little boy on a treadmill was a metaphor for his life. No matter how fast he would run, he couldn't run away from his problems. Because they were all around him. Because though it's possible his mother did and does love him, and her only problem is she is a drug addict, that's still a big problem. And there are numerous stories of addict mothers accidentally leaving their substances around and their child ingesting them and losing their life as a result. Or they are so worried about getting high, they bring shady people around their child, causing them horrible traumas. Do I think this so-called father willfully took the life of his son that he hated? Yes, I do. But do I think this so-called mother, and even if she loves him, she's still a so-called mother, but do I think she helped unknowingly put the wheels in motion to have her son not be on planet Earth anymore? Yes, I do. And the reason why is this. If she truly loved her son, and she believed what she was reporting that the so-called father was and is abusive, heck, I believe her. While reporting all of this abuse, she should have reached out for any kind of help or services to get clean. But instead it sounds like she was hanging out with an addict boyfriend, likely spending her day getting high instead of getting help. This child didn't stand a chance. He didn't stand a chance at all. They say the cause of his unaliving was sepsis due to the pneumonia, but soon after changed their finding to abuse. I do believe that his mother loves her son, but the drugs got into the way from keeping the child from the person that Brianna knew was abusive. But as for Christopher, utter evil. And that's what your narcissist parent was or is. Or boyfriend or girlfriend or husband or wife. They want to run you into the ground and they want to find any way or reason on hitting that reset button on the video game they call your life. Also, they can pretend to have loved and cared for you once you are gone. And so they can start their video game over with someone else. And it's a theme we see over and over and over again. Because here's another so-called parent. A so-called mother, Pammy May, who confessed after being arrested and apparently in the hospital, of smothering her 5-year-old son Darnell Taylor for sneaking food and eating it in bed. And in her words, she planned it out and it was premeditated. As she didn't do it right away. She literally took her time and planned it out after the fact. Then she dumped her child's body in a hole in the side of the road. And giggled and laughed when she said, "Oh yeah, you will find him there." Again, I wouldn't be shocked if she was diagnosed with some sort of antisocial or narcissism diagnosis. And you see the pattern of being disappointed by the child for the smallest of reasons. And then deeming the child to be like a video game to just reset and do away with them. And likely to start again. Because even though a so-called parent like this knows who and what they are, that is walking evil, they will likely attempt to have another child all to try to get perfection that doesn't exist. And much like Christopher in the case of Corey, they will spot what they see are the cracks or flaws early on. Much like inspecting a piece of glass, looking for every blemish you can find and every flaw. And not being able to rest because of these disappointments and flaws they are finding in their child. Pammy May's case. She was so angered she actually planned to end the life of her innocent son. You see, I think it's an extreme problem in society that these types of individuals that walk this earth are minimized as being a small number of people. Meaning those with evil personality traits and behaviors. And as a result they are able to blend into society easier and easier. The problem is because of how things have progressed, it's easier for them to get caught. Because of either a rash impulsive choice they have made, or they have gotten away with their evil plots and plans all of their life. They become so delusional to believe this will be no different. I'm sure that Pammy did what she did thinking she would play dumb or like she was the victim in most of the interactions where she was really the one doing evil to others. The problem is if it's admitted that these types are more and more common, then they would have to admit some of the people that run the very systems that we depend on have such problems as well. And they too, just like Pammy and Christopher, like to punish those they deem to be imperfect and no longer worth their time. But to those of you out there, though you are a grown adult living your life, if you are still living with a narcissist family, or you have a narcissist spouse, please know they have thought about a million times ending your life. They are just waiting for the right opportunity to do it, even if that means them getting caught. Because remember, the narcissist is so delusional they think they can talk their way out of anything. So please don't think they won't try it because they don't want to get into trouble. In their mind they won't get into trouble, because they have never gotten into trouble before. Plan an escape and get free. Your life depends on it. Because the narcissist hates you to your very core. They hated you when you were a child and they hate you now. And we know this from these very stories that show up in the news over and over every single day. I pray God our Father who art in heaven holds these innocent children's souls with all of his love. With that said, I do hope your day is blessed. And until next time, bye for now. And be good to yourself.